Okay, let's talk about the OnePlus 6T. Now, I got this phone a few months ago, and I can say that I've been really liking it so far. After my review of the OnePlus 5, I realized just how reliable OnePlus phones are. Even a few years later after that phone's release, it was very snappy, had great battery life, and was still receiving software updates. So after my bad experience with the LG G6, I knew that I had to get a OnePlus phone. And I settled on the OnePlus 6T. This phone was about $220, I bought it used, and in this video I'll be sharing my experiences with the phone and seeing if it is worth buying in 2020. So without any further ado guys, let's get started with the video. Given that I bought this phone used for around $220, the build quality is really good. It's the familiar glass sandwich that many of us are used to, with a dual camera setup on the back and a signature OnePlus logo. The right side houses the underrated alert slider and power button, while the volume rockers are on the left side. I can say that all these buttons feel very sturdy and tactile, and the alert slider has a nice texture to it which makes it easy to move around with one hand. At the bottom of the phone, we have a USB-C port and a single bottom frame speaker. Yes, the other grill there is just for aesthetics. It's not a stereo speaker setup, it's just one speaker. Moving to the front of the 6T, we have a nice 6.4-inch AMOLED display with a teardrop notch at the top, and of course, our in-display fingerprint scanner. Overall, I'd say build quality feels pretty excellent. It has really nice weight in the hand, and the glass feels very premium. I will say that the phone is pretty slippery and can attract fingerprints pretty easily, so I would recommend getting a case for the device. But other than that, I say the phone feels really nice and it feels very sturdy. The 6.4-inch display is also really nice. It's 1080p, has solid viewing angles, and gets plenty bright. The colors are pretty natural out of the box, but still get that nice contrasty view with deep blacks. And the best part is that you can pretty extensively tweak the screen in the settings app so it fits your preferences. Now, prior to getting this phone, I'd never used a phone with the notch, and I was quite worried about if I would like it or if it would just get in the way. And I can say that this notch is pretty unobtrusive. I got used to it within about 4 or 5 days of using the device, and I barely notice it now. And another good thing is that a lot of apps now support the notch, so most apps take up the full display instead of getting cut off at the top, which I thought is really nice. However, if you really aren't a fan of it, you can still disable it from the settings, and in that case it'll just have a black bar on the top of that screen with the real estate that the notch fills up. So now let's talk about one of the best features of this phone, which is the software experience. Now I'm sure that most of you watching this video are pretty familiar with Oxygen OS, which is OnePlus's skin that they put on top of Android for all of their phones. And I really like this skin. I prefer it over LG skins or Samsung skins, and I even prefer it over stock Android just because of how smooth and customizable it is. In the stock launcher itself, you can change the icon pack, the grid size, icon size, and even hide icon labels. These features are almost unheard of in stock launchers on other launchers, and it's great that OnePlus includes it in their Oxygen OS launcher. The other great thing about the software is that OnePlus is still updating this device. Currently it's running Android 10 and Oxygen OS 10.3.5. And I do think this phone is rumored to get Android 11 in the future. Now given that this device has a Snapdragon 845 processor, 8GB of RAM, and a 3700 mAh battery, as well as 128GB of storage, performance on this phone was absolutely excellent. It handled everything I threw at it, from intense 3D games to heavy multitasking. And adding on to that, battery life was also excellent, given that it had a 3700 mAh battery. I got around 5 hours of screen on time on this device, which was really good, and it could easily get me through a day. On top of that, OnePlus also provides warp charging, which can charge this phone very quickly. So battery life and performance overall, guys, was excellent in my usage. I don't think any of you guys, even if you're power users, will have a problem getting through a full day with this device. Alright, let's talk about the cameras. The 6T comes with a dual camera setup on the back, and there's a 60 megapixel main camera with an f1.7 aperture and optical image stabilization, and a second 20 megapixel camera that is used for depth info and some other features that help in processing the photos. Now I would say these cameras are pretty decent. They take pretty nice photos with good detail and dynamic range and produce natural colors. It also comes with a portrait and night mode that work alright, but they're not nearly as good as the Pixel or iPhone. It also does have some nice slow motion video capabilities, such as 1080p at 240 fps and 720p at 480 fps. And it does have 4K video recording at 60 fps. Talking about the video, it is decent, but I would say it's a bit choppy and noisy, and if you do shoot a lot of videos on your phones, I'd recommend looking at iPhones instead of Android phones, because for some reason Android phones are much behind the iPhone's video quality. Alright, finally let's talk about the in-display fingerprint scanner. Now, when I got this phone, I thought this was one of the coolest features. I mean, I had never used a fingerprint scanner in the display of a device. But after using this phone for a couple months now, I can say that it does get a little annoying at times. It definitely is less accurate as hardware fingerprint scanners, and it does take a longer time to enter your finger in and register it to the device. Also, at night, it does turn the screen to full brightness, so it can pretty much blind you if you're using this phone in bed. But other than that, I would say it gets it right most of the time, and OnePlus has definitely improved this with software updates, but you can definitely tell it is a first-gen in-display fingerprint scanner. And also remember, this phone doesn't have a headphone jack, so if you're still using wired headphones, you might want to buy a dongle for it if you're getting this phone used, or use the one that OnePlus includes in the box. So that is the OnePlus 6T, a fantastic phone to buy in 2020 for around $250. I'd say the performance is excellent, battery life is great, the software experience is top notch and is still getting updates, and it also has some pretty decent cameras. So if you guys are looking for a phone in 2020 for around $250, I will look no further than the OnePlus 6T. I really enjoyed using this phone and cannot recommend it enough. Anyways guys, that is my review. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I'm sorry for the inconsistent uploads, but I have been very busy. As some of you may know, I am in my senior year, so I'm looking at colleges and adjusting to online learning. But we're getting there, and I thought I'd put out a video. It had been quite some time, and I wanted to share my experiences on this phone. But if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.